To today's story, this is not just a tale, but a journey into the life of a woman whose silence was misunderstood and whose struggles were hidden from the world. Sit back, relax, and let me take you through the story of Debola, the woman her children once hated, not knowing the truth she carried in her heart. In a quiet African village, there lived a young girl named Debola. She was only 18 years old, yet her face carried the innocence of a child. Her world was small: the stream where she fetched water, the farmlands where she helped with planting, and the village square where she sometimes went to watch festivals. Debola had never known much about the outside world. She was soft spoken, shy, and often kept to herself. Neighbors admired her for her humility, and her mother loved her deeply, always praying that her daughter would one day marry a good man and live a happy life. One hot afternoon, while Debola was sweeping the compound, our friend Busola walked in with excitement written all over her face. Debola, she said quickly, come with me. I want you to escort me somewhere. Don't worry, it won't take long. Debola hesitated for a moment. She rarely left the house unless her mother asked her to, but Busola was her close friend, and she did not want to disappoint her. So, without asking too many questions, she agreed. She had no idea that this simple decision would change the course of her entire life. The two friends walked until they reached a place Debola had never been before, a hotel in a nearby town. Debola was confused. Busola, why are we here? She whispered. But before she could get an answer, Busola led her into a room. Inside, a man was waiting. His name was Lekon. Lekon smiled strangely when he saw Debola. I have loved you for a long time, he said, but I did not know how to speak to you. So I asked Busola to bring you here. Debola's heart pounded. She did not understand why she had been brought to this place, or why this man was speaking to her this way. Before she could fully make sense of what was happening, something painful and shameful took place that left her broken. 2 months later, Debola discovered she was pregnant. In those days, such news was like thunder falling from the sky. People judged young girls harshly when they became pregnant outside marriage. When her parents found out, their hearts sank. They believed she had chosen a wayward path. Her mother wept bitterly, but her father refused to take her back. They did not know the truth of what had really happened that day. With no other choice, Debola was sent to live with Lagos family. Just like that, she became his wife. Though she had never dreamed of such a life. At first, she hoped things would improve. Maybe he would treat me kindly. Maybe I can still find happiness. But life was not kind to her. Lekon was harsh. He never showed her warmth, even after she gave birth to their first child, then the second, and then the third. His attitude did not soften. So his parents warned her not to have any more children, saying if she did, she alone would be responsible for the welfare of the children. When Lekon later moved to Lagos with his father to continue trading, Debola had no choice but to follow him with her three children. So Lekon rented a small crowded room in a city. Life there was even harder than in the village. Lekon would return home every night full of hunger, and by morning he would leave without giving her money for food. Yet he still comes back home expecting to find meals waiting at his return. Debola could not bear to watch her children go hungry. One day, she borrowed a small amount of money to start selling sardine in the market. To her great joy, she doubled the money on the very first day, and so she hurried home, hid the money carefully under the mattress, thinking the money was safe, not knowing to her that Lekon was actually at the door, watching while she was hiding her money. Afterward, she took her children to the bathroom to bathe for them, and also had a bath, and then went back to bed, dreaming of growing a business. For the first time in a long while, she felt hope. But by the next morning, the money was gone. When Debola checked under the mattress to take the money she had kept there, she found that the money was no longer there, and Debola screamed in shock. Neighbors rushed by, asking what was the problem. She explained what had happened. Many pitied her, but no one could help. But by then, Lekon had gone back to the market. On his return at night, Debola asked, "Did you take any money from under the mattress?" He looked at her calmly and said, "Yes, I did. I borrowed it. I will return it." But he never did. After some time, Debola borrowed some money again to start another business. But while she started the business, not few months into the business, her first daughter fell ill. She was worried for the child. By this time, Lekon's father had gone back to the village again because they were already aging, and told Lekon to continue with the business while he sent money to them in the village. So Lekon's parents said, "Bring the child to the village so they could treat her with traditional medicine." Debola agreed because she had tried everything she could, but the child would not recover. So she agreed and took the child to the village, hoping her child would recover quickly. And indeed, the girl regained her strength. But when it was time for her to return, the grandparents refused. Not only did they keep the first child, but they also held onto the second, leaving Debola with only the youngest because she was not up to a year. The pain was unbearable. She cried until her eyes were swollen, but there was nothing she could do. So she returned to Lagos, her arms empty, her heart heavy, yet still carrying hope that one day she would hold all her children again. 3 years later, tragedy struck once more. Their small home caught fire. Flames consumed everything: clothes, belongings, and all the goods Debola had worked so hard to buy. She was selling clothes as a then, and her Okirika business had actually grown so big. But the fire outbreak brought everything down, and she was left with nothing. But by this time, she was already pregnant with a fourth child. With no home and nothing left, she returned again to the village. Lekon's parents were strict and sharp-tongued, but they were not as cruel as their son. There in the village, she gave birth, but she was happy that at least she had all her children with her. And so she started little business in the village by selling beans while her mother-in-law was selling bread. She would go to the market, buy beans, prepare the beans, selling ewa going, and her mother-in-law would sell bread. She was taking care of these children. But at this time, things were really unbearable. Lekon was neither sending money to her nor helping, and so she decided to return back to Lagos because her marriage with Lekon had become unbearable. So she decided she would go back to Lagos and she would part with Lekon. But Lekon's parents refused to let her take her children with her. But her mind was made up. She was done as she could no longer continue to be with Lekon. So she left for Lagos and left the four children as the parent would not allow her to go with them. Years rolled by, and Debola, determined to rebuild her life from ashes, she struggled. She worked hard. She worked hard, and while working very hard, one day she met a man who was different. He was gentle, kind, and patient. He spoke to her with respect. He saw her pain, and instead of judging her, he promised to care for her. And for the first time in her life, she felt seen and valued. Her friends encouraged her to remarry. They said, "Debola, you are still young. You deserve happiness. Do not let the past steal your future." After waiting for so long and after carrying so much sorrow, she finally agreed. She married the man, hoping her children would one day understand. But when those children grew older, they were told only one side of the story. They heard, "Your mother abandoned you to marry another man." And so they hardened their hearts against her. They did not know the nights she went to bed hungry so they could eat. All the while she was in Lagos, she was always buying foodstuffs, clothes, and sending to the village for her children. But Lekon's parents never told the children all that the mother was doing. So they did not know how many times she worked under the hot sun just to send them food. They did not know about the countless tears she cried when she was not allowed to hold them. This is the story of Debola, a woman misunderstood, a mother judged, and a soul who carried silent battles no one saw. Sometimes, when we see the choices a person makes, we cannot understand the pain behind them. Every mother has a story. Every woman carries secrets of survival. And maybe, just maybe, if our children ever hear our side of the story, their hearts will soften. This is the end of Debola's story. A mother who suffered, endured, and was judged unfairly. Many times we see people's choices without knowing the battles they fight in secret. Every mother has a story. Every woman carries a pain in silence. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another tale filled with wisdom, lessons, and truth. Until next time, stay blessed.